Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel. You're watching Meadow Green Homesteading and my name is Eric. And in today's video, we're doing a 1-year update on the farm that my wife, son, and I have been building for the past year. There are a few things I want to mention before we start the video. The first thing is our Facebook page at Meadow Green Homesteading. We love to post daily content on there, any pictures or kind of funny stuff that we have happen around the farm, as well as things like eggs and produce that whatever we have for sale, we'd like to throw on there and offer it to people at a good discount. So the other thing I want to mention is the almost 700 subscribers that we're at now. Our channel is growing very quick and we love to have everybody along. We appreciate every single subscriber that we got. Now with all the influx of new subscribers that we have, there's one thing I do want to mention. We will always continue to do rainwater collection and tractor reviews, zero turn reviews, anything that has to do with the equipment, building infrastructure like chicken tractors and barns and sheds and everything like that. But what we really try to do is focus the channel on things that we're learning, what we're doing, what we've learned, and where we're going, as well as a lot of fun garden videos, such as when we plant, what things we're trying in the garden, and preserving. But with all that being said, let's just jump right into the video, and remember to hit that like button if you like this video, and if you want to watch our homestead grow, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Strange mournful cries, the lowest lows and the grand soaring highs. I'll be kind to you the rest of my days.
So this A-frame chicken tractor that we built this spring has been working out really well for us again. The only thing that I am going to change about this is the watering can. I do have to go in there and take the watering can out every single time I want to move it. So what we're doing now is actually testing a plus-on water in one of our other chicken tractors, seeing how that works, seeing how long the water supply lasts, and if that isn't exactly what we want, my plan is to do some sort of a PVC, like an S system over here that goes down into some nipple drinkers or some cup drinkers or something like that. But as far as being able to get in this tractor and how well this tractor has actually held up, I'm really happy with it. One thing I'm still a little perplexed by is the eggs from the Orpingtons. They are quite a bit smaller than the layers. Now I know the layers put out, large to jumbo size eggs, but I was really hoping the Orpington eggs would get a little bit bigger by now, but that's okay. Nonetheless, we've had somebody that's been buying them, so which is great. We just sell them for a little bit less than the layer eggs. All right, so the third tractor we're using is actually this Salatin style tractor. I really do like the tractor. It's small, but there are a couple things I really don't like about it. The first is kind of our fault anyways, and that is we're using layers. We're using layer chickens in here. So the Orpingtons are laying and Jacob has to actually go in the tractor and collect the eggs every day because we're too big to get down in there and go get the eggs. So if you're using them for just meat birds, I guess that's not a problem. The other thing that I'm trying to find solutions to is the water. The temperature of the water in this bucket for the Plasan water gets really hot during the day and we're having a hard time keeping it full. I think that they are actually bumping into it during the day and emptying it. So if anybody has suggestions on how to keep the temperature down in this bucket, I'd love to hear them. And if you have a solution for how to feed the chickens inside this tractor, I would love to hear that as well, because right now we have a gutter that's actually screwed to the tractor. That way it moves with the tractor. But because we do that, it keeps getting wet when it rains and we have to keep this piece of metal roofing on the top. One of my main goals on this farm has always been to try and keep his hands off as much as possible since I work full-time. So I like a food and watering system that's integrated into the tractor and into the coops or into the paddocks for the pens, something that I can maintain every couple of days after work and not have to come out every single morning and maintain it, because I just don't have the time. There's only 2 of us and we have a lot to do on this homestead. So again, if you have any suggestions for the food and water, I would love to hear them. So this barn was on our property when we moved in, so a lot of the work for a chicken coop and the pigs was actually already done for us. But one of the first things that we did was actually build a 12 by 12 stall inside the barn, and then a 12 by 24 run off of this for the chickens. So last year when we had the Red Rangers in here, this was all grass, but of course over the course of a couple months, they absolutely tore it all up and went through it and ate it all. So this year what we had to do when we rebuilt the chicken run was we re-leveled this all off with the tractor, and we came through and we put wood chips down on the ground in order to prevent the clay and all the silt from kind of eroding down the hill back behind the chickens. Also, they are right up against Doc, our boar, and I really do think that having Doc right up against them and in the barn next to them keeps all the predators away. So inside the barn, the ceiling is all chicken wire and all 4 sides is actually wooden, so they are completely secure inside this barn. They have 2 roosts in here, they have a 7-foot feeder trough, and they have a 5-gallon gravity water all set up for them. For bedding, we just use the pine shavings, and it is a wooden floor underneath them, which makes it really easy when it comes time to scrape all the pine shavings and all the manure and everything out of here, get it all cleaned up for the next batch of chickens, and get that into our compost. Hey Doc, you want to say hi to everybody? Yeah, you already ate this morning. He says I could eat again and again and again. So Doc is our boar, and we've had him since March of 2023. He's about a year old now, so he's actually ready to breed. In the topic of breeding, this is the long-term plan. This stall right here will actually get divided up into 2 12 by 12s, and then this 12 by 12 area will become 1 and then 2 farrowing pens. So April 2024 is when we plan on having piglets. It seems a little early right now to talk about that, but we really do need to start getting these pens set up. That way we're not trying to rush around and get everything set up come farrowing time. But man, this guy has grown a lot since we picked him up. He's been living the good life, huh? All right, so these are our 3 Berkshires, and right now they're stuffing their face with cornmeal. This is Loretta. She's very nice, and this is Reba right here. She's got the white face. Reba is very, very nice. Loretta gets a little bit pushy, but she's a good girl. And that guy over there, because he's got a spot on him, we'll just call him Spot. He doesn't need a name. All right. Hi, Reba. All right, so about 2 weeks ago, we moved the Berkshires over from this paddock over to here, and they have already torn all this up. They're doing a really great job clearing out the understory, and that's exactly what we want. My goal for moving them around in the woods is to have them clear out all the understory and then come back through and seed this. So while they're clearing this area over here, I've already gone through and seeded with clover and fescue. They're going to be in here until September, and then we'll move them back over into this paddock. Hopefully the ground and the grass is shot back up. And they'll be in there from September till the end of November when it's time to move up to Doc's pen at the top of the hill. So that's the goal. They have a pretty nice little setup in here. They got their water, they got their little pig hut, and they got their automatic feeder. So we're here in the garden, and the first thing I'm going to mention about what it's like this year versus last year is the soil. We've been making compost here on our homestead, and we've been also bringing in some composted manure from my buddy's cattle farm. And the soil in this garden this year has gotten so much better than it was last year. So it is early June, and you can see behind me our corn has already got ears on it. So we're actually able to do 2 rotations of corn in this garden, which is absolutely great. The second thing that we noticed was last year we had a lot of pressure from cabbage moths and flea beetles, and we decided, my wife and I, that this year we're going to invest a little bit of money in row tunnels. So we actually put tunnels on the broccoli and the potatoes this year, and our harvest this year was so much better. So the potatoes are still in the ground, but we've gotten a ton of broccoli out, and the broccoli really took off. So we're really happy about that. So last year we grew green provider beans, and this year Gabrielle has planted these Cherokee climbing beans. So these Cherokee Trail of Tears climbing beans, we're actually letting them go to seed, I guess you can call it. We're going to use the black beans out of them and not canned green beans. We still have about 70 cans of green beans down in our dry cellar, so we really have no need whatsoever to can green beans again this year. One of the other things we changed up this year was red okra. We're growing some red okra this year instead of just green okra. So we're trying something a little bit different, see how we like it. We have 2 rows of tomatoes going over here. This year we're doing strictly canning tomatoes. We don't eat a lot of slicing tomatoes. So we're doing Amish paste, which we've talked about in previous videos, which have much less seeds than your typical canning tomato. We're really looking forward to making a lot of paste and stuff out of those. These are shelling peas. We did shelling peas last year. I think at the end of last year we tried to do shelling peas and we didn't get a lot. These have been doing really well. They're going away in a couple weeks for cucumbers. But over here we have eggplant. We've never grown eggplant. That's something else we're trying. Now this garden was set up in February last year. We came through, this was all pasture. We came through, we tilled and leveled this whole section. We built our beds, we built all the fencing. Then we came through and started doing all of our planting even before the fencing was done. And then we added on the shed and the rainwater collection. And so far it's worked out really, really well. So we have on every single row, we have a drip irrigation system where we can turn on and off every single row as we please. So as the season progresses and certain rows need water and some don't, we just go ahead and click on and click off whatever row that we need. We push a button on our timer, we water it for 13 or 15 minutes, however long we want, and it works out absolutely perfect. So you can see over here we have our shed. There's a 100-watt solar panel over here that provides power to the 12-volt pump. That's all we need. We do have a couple lights around here on the garden in case we need them, but we rarely use them because we're up here during the day. The only thing that we have left to plant really is the zucchini and the summer squash. Right now we have snap peas in that row, which are actually still coming out of the garden. We've been just basically selling those because we can't eat them all and they really don't preserve very well. So those are just about to go by, and then we're going to be taking those out, putting zucchini and summer squash in there. But you're going to want to stick around, hit that subscribe button, because in a few weeks Gabrielle is going to do a garden tour. She does a really good job at the garden tours, talks a lot about the varieties, some other things that we've learned that I don't see that she knows about. So stick around for that. You're not going to want to miss it. Let's go check out what we planted this year for fruit. Our strategy for this year for fruit was to plant 1 row of blueberries, and there are 4 bushes over here, and there are 4 blackberries that we planted over here. Only 2 of them have made it, and 4 red raspberry. The strategy that we're going by is small scale, see what's manageable, see how much fruit we get off of it, and then use these plants right over here to actually expand these rows, which is why we have the trellising all set up, so we can easily expand them. So this plant right here is a red raspberry, and it's the first one that's produced fruit for us, and Jacob got the first red raspberry off of this last night. He said it was the best raspberry he's ever had in his life, and if you could have seen his face, you would have known he was telling the truth. So the red raspberries are starting to fruit, and the blackberries as well are starting to fruit. We have had, I don't know if it's deer or rabbit trying to clip the top of these off, but they have gotten a little bit eaten. But you can see right here, they are producing some fruit. Really excited for the blackberries, really excited for the raspberries. The blueberries, we do have some down at the house, so we have been eating them. But I can't wait to make some jam out of these berries. So if you are new to the channel, this looks absolutely normal. But if you're not, then you would have remembered that this right here was all 20 to 30 foot tall trees. There was woven wire fence and fence line and everything right down through here. We took all that out last winter in preparation for cattle, which is something I'll talk about in a minute. But what we decided to do was make this small pasture over here an orchard. So we have 3 pear trees, 1, 2, 3 pear, 2 peach. There are 6 apple trees in here, and 2 Chickasaw plums and 2 cherries. So the orchard's been doing well. We did add 2 Chickasaw plums, which we talked about in the planting video. We did replace 1 pear tree. I don't know what happened to it. I was out here on the tractor one day and it just ran like right into the back of my tractor. I don't know. So we have another one that we planted that has not leafed out yet, and it's been 2 months, something like that. But we keep doing a scratch test on it and it's still green. So we're letting that one be. The one that I actually hit with the tractor, I broke it in half and I replanted it on our fence line, and that's actually all leafing out. So we're kind of keeping that in a separate area just as a backup to the one behind me. One of the things we're always addressing around here, and the orchard is no different in this case, is fencing. Fencing is a major undertaking around here, whether it's for the orchard or for cattle. But we're chipping away at it slowly, and that's something we'll talk about in a minute. But for right now, these welded wire fences are the only thing keeping the deer away from these trees. And as you can see, the branches are actually poking out from inside the wire rings, which is not good because when it's windy, you can damage branches, and now the deer is going to start getting to them. The other thing that we've noticed is cedar rust on some of our trees. So this is a yellow delicious. Yellow delicious are somewhat resistant to cedar rust, but not resistant enough. So we knew this going into having these apple trees, it might be a problem, but yellow delicious are great pollinators and we wanted to use them, and we figured they were worth a try. So there are a couple things you can do about this. You can spray fungicide on here, or you can just let them go. So if you're someone like us that doesn't like using spray, we're gonna let this one ride and we're gonna see how these trees do. And if they don't do well, we're gonna have to go to a different variety. Like these ones over here, Fuji, and they don't have yellow rust on them at all. So some apple trees are very resistant to the cedar rust and some are not. All right, we're gonna cover one of the last things that we wanna do on the farm this year real quick. I put out several fencing videos on clearing fence lines. We've been clearing fence lines in between every single video. I don't show it all, it's boring. I get really hot and sweaty and frustrated, cut up in barbed wire and brambles. I get poison ivy all over me. It really stinks and it's not great YouTube content, so I don't show it. But I will say, and I'll throw a little graphic up here, in the last 2 weeks, I've been taking about 1 hour every single night, and I've been going down the road up to our barn, and in front of our house we've been getting rid of all the fence line, and one of the last 2 sections of fence line in our field is now clear of metal. In the next couple weeks we have somebody coming over with a loader, and he's going to help me pull all these trees, and then he's going to help me go down through the woods and clear out all the trees around the last section of fence line I need to clean. So once that's done, we can start building new fence lines. Dexter cattle are what we want. If you've never seen a Dexter cattle, I'll throw a picture up there for you. They're really cool. They raise and finish really well on grass. They're very good mothers. They're small, so my wife and son can be around them and not feel so intimidated, but they're very docile and they do very well down here in Tennessee. That's the breed that we've chose. There are a couple cattle farms around here that raise and breed Dexter. In the next couple weeks, we hope to make a trip out there, talk to them and see what they have and see what their prices are. But that's the plan. And until we get the fence lines finished, we can't really get our hopes up too much. So we have a plan for the fence line. We have a plan to get cattle this fall, tentatively. I don't want to make any promises, but my heart is really set on getting cattle this fall. So cow-calf combination is really where it's at. That's what I would like to do. Dexter cattle is the name. So that's it. That's our first year homesteading on this old horse farm. I'm really proud of where we are and where we've come in a year. And I'm super excited about what we have coming up in the next couple months. We have Cornish cross coming in June and August. We have broad-breasted turkeys coming in June. We have 22 Red Star fertilized eggs that we're going to be incubating and raising up for egg layers in July. We have fence lines that we need to finish. We have tractors we need to build. We need to get Cody's chickens out of the tractor they're in now and build him a coop so he has somewhere to keep his chickens. Once we get the fence lines built, we're going to have cattle, and that's just going to be a game changer for our channel and a game changer for us as a family. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you liked the video, please hit that like button. It means a lot to us. We'll see you next time.